The real winners this weekend are Leicester, a 99th minute winner, the most potent long-range shooter in the division. And by God, a Wazza win. Top 6 slips. Only one team in the top 6 going into this weekend got themselves a win, and that was Leicester City. The Foxes had lost their last 2 games in a rare show of fallibility this season, but they got back at it with a 2-0 win over Watford. The Hornets held on until minute 76, but in the end, the pot boiled over and the old master, Jamie Vardy, came on as a second half sub and stuck in 2 goals. He's not far off 200 for Leicester. We will analyse the impact on the table when we finish discussing the rest of the top 6's inability to win this round, and that included only a second defeat of the season for Ipswich as they went down 2-0 at West Brom. The Baggies pretty much nailed this one, didn't they? Scoring at the start of each half from a set play and a counter-attack, and then really controlling the game with a massively effective press and defensive set up. Ipswich's tough run of games up to Boxing Day has started with a pretty definitive defeat, but Ipswich now have back-to-back home games this week to respond. Impressive performance from West Brom. Carlos Corberan got into the playoffs doing this with Huddersfield. Can he repeat the trick? A point gained. We often hear the win your home games, draw your away games cliche rolled out when people are talking about championship promotion. Now, it may sound like I'm splitting hairs here, but you're on far more solid ground talking about 2 points per game. The devil is in the detail with all these things, and this weekend's away points for Leeds and Southampton will probably be viewed in a fairly mixed, fairly binary way. Both sides were away to bottom 4 teams, Leeds at Rotherham and Southampton at Huddersfield. Both sides went in front in their games before being pegged back for 1-1 draws. Saints with only 3 minutes left to play. From that standpoint, you can understand the 2 points dropped analysis. In terms of the actual promotion race, Leeds and Southampton are both a point closer to Ipswich now in second. But let's be honest, the real winners this weekend are Leicester, being the only victorious side. The Foxes took 3 points out of Ipswich and 2 out of Leeds and Southampton, and have given themselves a 10-point promotion cushion to start this block of matches. Context is king, of course. Both Leeds and Southampton play at home for the 2 remaining games of this 3-game week, but then so do Ipswich. Look, you'd rather draw than lose, of course, go figure, but in the short term, I do think Russ Martin and Daniel Farke might be kicking themselves that they're not just that little bit closer to second place. More fun and games on the FanHub app this week. I kept up my record of never quite being able to get the entire Ipswich team correct in the predict lineup feature, and bang on brand in the FanHub 5s. I got the 2 championship games correct. Shame about the Premier League, League One and League Two picks, right? Get yourself involved, download the app, and you can skip the queue when you're doing that by using my golden ticket code BEN-CU7. That's BEN-CU7. Comebacks. We could easily have been talking about defeats for Hull and Cardiff, but they managed to scramble together 4 points between them from honestly pretty perilous looking positions. Cardiff actually went into minute 96 at Preston 1-0 down, and amazingly left Deepdale from that point with all 3 points in the bag in utterly dramatic fashion. Preston had been battling with 10 men for most of the second half, it should be said. They looked like they got the job done, but when Cardiff got it back to 1-1, you knew what was going to happen. They smelled blood and went in for the kill, with Ugbo sticking home a 99th minute winner, dropping North End to 6th and closing up into 7th themselves in the process. Hull were probably in an equally perilous position at Swansea. They got swept away by a superstar from the Welsh side, 2 down in 23 minutes. Back they came, though, to return with a 2-2 draw and a point. Philogene, he just keeps on contributing. He got the first. Tyler Morton, fresh from his Worldie of the Week pick on the Championship Check-In podcast earlier this week, he got the equaliser. Hull are going to look to build on their point with 2 home games to round out the 3-game week. Swansea, 1 win in 6, and they have taken the lead in 4 of those 6 games. They're in the bottom 8. They're not going to stay there if they can finish games in the same manner that they're starting them. Predictable. It's so easy to be wise after the event, but we all know what's going to happen when Morgan Whittaker of Plymouth cuts inside and shoots from outside the box. And we all know that a Sammy Smodic goal for Blackburn every game in November, it's just an inevitability at this point, isn't it? Great win for Plymouth at home to Sunderland, who started the weekend up in 6th. We don't need to describe the Whittaker goal, do we? He's got to be the most potent long-range shooter in the division now, surely. Finn Azaz added a second, and it's another home win for Argyle with some ruthless finishing, all the hallmarks of what Plymouth have excelled at under Stephen Schumacher. Sunderland, lots of surface positive data, but no points. They are 2 off the playoffs. Plymouth, 7 above the drop zone. It's 4 away wins in a row now for Blackburn. They took the lead early at Stoke and then banged in 2 late goals to complete a resounding 3-0 win. Smodic done it again. He stays out in front in the top scorers chart, 11 for the season. And Blackburn just remain this brilliantly fun team that scores loads of goals and pretty much never draws. Typical Stoke as well, by the way. 5 unbeaten, 4 clean sheets in a row going into this one. I talked myself out of them defying logic and going under in this game, and they went and did exactly that, dearie me. Rovers 10th, Stoke 16th. Now, you might see a YouTuber with millions of subscribers and views a week driving a Bentley. It's a bit more modest, I have to say, when you're covering the Championship. So if you can find a few quid each month to support over on Patreon or by hitting the join button here, you are making the world of difference for myself, Shaylee and Enid. Must win. A couple of very under pressure managers got themselves important victories this weekend. Let's be honest, it feels like unless David Wagner wins every single game at Norwich now, he's not going to turn around the mood of the fan base there. And he's now got himself actually 2 wins in a row. The latest one, a 1-0 over QPR at Carrow Road. The feedback I got from invested parties in our members and Patreons WhatsApp group is that it was a pretty poor game from both sides. The bar was low and Norwich won in the battle to be the nicest guy in jail. Hwang with the goal. Norwich moved to the top of the bottom half. Cifuentes at QPR, now 3 games in charge without a win. I would say 3 of the next 4 at home. That's a good thing, but that doesn't really apply to Rangers this past year, does it? And by God, a Wazza win. Birmingham's first in 6 under Wayne Rooney. Those people giving Rooney the benefit of the doubt will say, well, it was a hard start. He's now had the benefit of the international break, and this victory could be a springboard for a points scoring run. Those people who have already made their mind up about Rooney, already made their mind up before he arrived probably, they'll say that Birmingham were playing at home to bottom side Sheffield Wednesday and they had to come from behind. I'll leave you to decide which camp you're in. Rooney off the mark then. Wednesday, stay on a measly 6 points. Danny Roll, 5 defeats out of 6 since he took over. Mixed fortunes. Our 2 newest Championship managers had very mixed afternoons. Now you could say the only way was down for Joe Edwards at Millwall after a lovely old 4-0 away win in his first game in charge. He wouldn't have wanted it to flip quite so badly though to a 3-0 home defeat. Coventry were the benefactors at the Den. They've been huffing and puffing and not getting going and making and missing chances left and right throughout the season. 9 shots on target here, 2.27 XG, 3 goals and 3 points. Job's a good one for Mark Robbins. Has it turned finally? Oh, you tell me. Goals from Godden, Sheaf and Sakamoto. Bonkers game for us to finish with them for Liam Manning at Bristol City. He got his first win. They went 2-0 up through a penalty and a proper worldie from Taylor Gardner-Hickman. Then, magnificent own goal and a Matt Crooks finish made it 2-2 right after half-time. Mark Sykes, though, smashed home the winner 3-2. City now 3 points off the playoffs and they move ahead of Borough, who are just 1 point further back. That's about the size of it for round 17. Big winners in the automatic chase are Leicester, in the playoff hunt, Cardiff, Blackburn and Bristol City. Wagner and Rooney can rest a little easier. Plymouth and Coventry both sent that bottom 4 a little further adrift. Let me know your takes down there in the comments. It's going to be a busy one with a 3-game week coming up in the Championship. So if you want more content, click up here for over an hour with me and Sam Parkin on the most recent episode of the Championship Check-In podcast.